I'm going to show you in this video how to stop getting dizzy when you play the flute. There are 6 reasons why you get dizzy when you play the flute. You might be doing one of them or you might be doing all 6. I will walk you through each one of those and how to fix them. I'm Jane. My business, The Flute Teacher's School, because I'm a flute teacher, shows you a different way to get better at the flute. So instead of saying you just need to practice more, I love showing people the exact solution that they need for their exact problem when they're playing the flute. In this case, it's how to stop getting dizzy. By the way, stick around to the end of this video to learn how to quickly improve your tone on the flute, how to get a clearer sound for free. It's part of a mini course. Okay, the 6 causes for you getting dizzy when you play the flute. Number 1 is that your embouchure, the shape of your mouth, is too big when you play. If your hole is too big when you play, all the air escapes really fast and you need to breathe in a lot, which makes you dizzy. Too much oxygen. So this is a good embouchure, good size embouchure hole. And this is too big. If I did that 3 times over, I would be very dizzy. Number 2 reason why you get dizzy when you play the flute is your embouchure is the wrong shape. 1 is if it's too pulled back, so too tight and too wide. Like this. This is too wide. You're going to have air escaping outside each side of your mouth, and when you waste air, you need to breathe in more frequently, which makes you dizzy. Now the opposite is if your mouth is too round, like this. That makes the hole too big, which you know from the last point, uses too much air. A good embouchure is fairly relaxed, not too tight, not too pouty, like this. The 3rd cause of getting dizzy is if you're blowing in the wrong direction. When you blow across this hole, this embouchure hole, your airstream needs to be hitting that opposite edge of the hole and the air will split. So you should be aiming for that sharp edge on the other side. That's what actually makes the sound. So if you're missing that edge and you're playing too far out, say, or too far in, your sound's going to be funny, but more importantly is that your air is not going to be used efficiently. And when that happens, you're going to be needing to breathe in more often, breathing too frequently, and getting dizzy. The 4th cause of getting too dizzy is generally blowing too hard. You might have all of your embouchure under control. You might have everything in a really good position, blowing in the right direction, but if you're blowing too hard, you guessed it, you're going to be breathing in more often, too much oxygen to your brain, and you'll be getting dizzy. So this is normal. And this would be blowing too hard. Most people, when they blow too hard up high. The 5th cause of getting dizzy is even if you have all of that, what I've said, under control, your embouchure is good, you're blowing in the right direction, you're not blowing too hard. If you breathe in too frequently, just out of habit, same thing's going to happen. You'll get dizzy. So for example, I didn't need all those breaths, and if you're doing the same thing, question yourself if you actually need those breaths. If you do need those breaths, by the way, go back to the things that I just mentioned, because it's going to be one of those previous things that will be your problem. And the 6th thing that makes you dizzy when you play the flute is when you play high notes, not having control over your embouchure. If you don't have control over your embouchure for, say, the top half of the range of the flute, you're going to be getting those high notes by blowing harder, not by having control. If you blow harder, like you now know, you need to breathe in more frequently, which means you get dizzy. So if you can get control of your embouchure for the higher notes on the flute, you're going to use less air. Here is an example. So this is with control over my embouchure. It's slightly pouty to get those high notes. And here is not having control, which means you're blowing harder to get those high notes. That control that I'm talking about over your embouchure is such a subtle movement. It's such a tiny movement, you probably won't even be able to see it. That is a whole topic of flute playing, how to get control over your embouchure to get your high notes to sound sweet and soft and not get dizzy when you're doing that. That's a whole other area that we don't have time to go into in this video. So there you go. They were the 6 causes of getting dizzy when you play the flute. So that free mini course I was telling you about, it's called How to Quickly Improve Your Tone on the Flute. You can get free access to that course. There's a link in the description of this video. Feel free to sign up. It's 10 short lessons about specifically how to clear up your tone really quickly. I hope you are getting less dizzy now. Go and practice those 6 things that I just mentioned. It'll make a difference. Bye from me.